Hello everyone. I'm in a slightly different setup today because I'm at home. I'm at my parents' house, so I've got a slightly more aesthetically pleasing background today. Although this lighting's not the best, I'm not going to lie. And I'm still going strong with the not faffing with my hair plan. So again, if anyone sees me faffing with my hair too much, please yell at me. But I hope you're all well. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about festivities and food allergies. So having food allergies at Christmas time, and I'm losing my voice a bit, so please bear with me. So the original plan for this was what I hoped to do was come here and be like, oh yeah, it's really tough having a food allergy, but here are some really helpful things and really helpful brands that I could recommend to you, because if there's one thing that really frustrates me, it's when people complain or express frustrations about something without trying to be proactive or trying to overcome it or offer like a suggestion to deal with it. I like to, if I'm being negative's not the right word, but if I'm being negative about something, I like to offer a way forward or something that someone can take away from something. And I think in general I'm quite good at doing that now, but the one exception to that is when it comes to food allergies, because I feel like it's the one thing where I can't suggest something that can make it better, because there is still such a frustrating lack of support and understanding and accommodation around food allergies. And as someone who's quite an allergic person, that can be very much frustrating. So I have, do you know what? I genuinely don't know how many allergies I have. I can't even tell you them all off the top of my head. I know I have a severe peanut allergy. I have a life-threatening peanut allergy that's known as anaphylaxis. I have EpiPens for that, and basically that's not a good thing. So I have my very severe peanut allergy, and then I have a normal nut allergy, and then I have oral allergy syndrome, which basically means I'm allergic to birch pollen, which is in lots and lots of raw fruit and veg. So I have like about a dozen allergies, and then I have two intolerances, which are milk and egg white. And then I also have like some food sensitivities as well. There's a lot going on. Food is just a bit of a problematic area in general. But the main things I look to avoid in foods are peanuts, nuts, milk, and eggs. And this is kind of where my frustration lies. And if anybody's watching it who also has multiple allergies, I'd be interested to hear your own experiences about this. Because this Christmas, for the first time, I have really, really, really struggled to find safe foods, more so than ever before. And that is worrying, because we shouldn't be moving backwards. We should be moving forwards. Things should be getting better, especially if, like me, you live in the UK, and you'll be aware of the news recently. You'll have seen some of the devastating cases that have been in the news recently, things that have happened in the past few years that are only just kind of being reported on and brought to attention. And there have been so many fatalities that could have been avoidable. And really, everything trickles down from that, because it just shows such a lack of compassion's not a strong enough word. It is very, very frustrating that there just doesn't seem to be the right sort of support, understanding, accommodations in place for people with food allergies, be that severe allergies or intolerances. I'm very keen for this not to come across like I'm pitting one against the other, because I know that all of them come with their own unique challenges, and the last thing I want is to sound like I'm trying to win, because it's really frustrating when people do that. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today, really. Just to be able to kind of say sometimes you can't always come up with a solution, and you can't always sit here and talk about a problem and then say, but here's some things we can do about it, because as not easy, but as relevant as that is to do in some cases, it just doesn't apply well to food allergies, because there is only so much you can do as an individual. And this live stream differs from my others in that I'm actually asking for help from you more than actually giving advice. And I say that because, like I mentioned earlier, I have really struggled this year with food allergies. I seem to be getting more and more allergic as I get older, and it's getting more and more difficult to find safe foods. And the reason I mention multiple allergies is because even when a food is designed and created to be safe for one particular allergy, it seems that all of the others go out of the window. And obviously that's fair because a lot of people will only have one allergy or one intolerance. But then the thing that frustrates me the most when it comes to nut allergies is just like, and again, I'm really conscious of how this is sounding because it's not a competition, but I do feel, and I have felt for the last few years, like there is a hierarchy of allergies because some are more trendy than others, some are more fashionable, more socially acceptable than others. And with the rise in celebrities and influencers who are diagnosing themselves with intolerances, the kind of gluten and dairy free market has become very profitable. And I do understand that. And I do think it's a really positive thing that more manufacturers are kind of jumping on that. And there has been a lot more safe foods for gluten and dairy free individuals to consume. And that's a really positive thing. And I don't want to take that away. But the problem with that is because of the rise in that market, there's actually less safe foods for people with nut allergies. And that just is, I feel like I'm using the word frustrating so many times, but it really is frustrating, especially given the fact that, like, please don't quote me on this because someone told me that they'd read this from somewhere, so I can't verify the validity of this, but I think it's something like 57% of all allergy related deaths come from nut allergies. They are the ones that are likely to be a significant threat to life. And it is, again, frustrating to feel like that isn't recognised. So it's all well and good creating loads of gluten and dairy free alternatives. But if you're compromising another allergen at the same time, it just seems kind of counterproductive. And it would be fine to do that if there was still work being done in the other areas to ensure that there are foods also being developed that are safe for people with multiple allergies, but there just isn't at the minute. And don't get me wrong, there are organisations that are doing it and they're doing it really well. And I feel like they don't receive the praise that they should. So there are places like, let me try and think off the top of my head. There are places like Eureka, I don't know if I'm saying that, in London, and it is honestly the best place ever if you've got multiple allergies. It's like a dessert restaurant just off Oxford Street, and they do the most amazing things that are free from, I think, the top 8, might be the top 14 allergens. I think it is the top 14 allergens, and they taste incredible. The only downside to that is that now every time I go to London, I have to go there. It's like my happy place. Like last time I was in London, I went 20 minutes out of my way to go and get the waffles, which is slightly problematic. But honestly, if you're in my situation, like it's so worth it. Like it's the one time where you can get a nice dessert, and like you'd be silly not to jump on board. So really, kind of where I'm at the minute is I'm still looking for safe foods. It's very, very, I don't know if I've said this word enough times, it's very frustrating, and it's just, I do get fed up about it. It's one of very, like, it takes a lot to kind of get me down these days, but it is just endlessly like, to feel that you're not being heard. But like I say, there are people that are doing it. We're slowly kind of getting to a point where allergies are being more talked about, and there is kind of a greater understanding about the risks and the severity, whereas before I feel like maybe they were perhaps a bit trivialized. And while that is still the case, it's a shame that it's taken such devastating cases like we've seen in the UK, reported in the UK recently, even though they happened a while ago. It's a shame that it's taken until now for people to kind of think, oh wow, that actually is serious, and that incident could have been preventable. Yeah, it is. It's awful. It really is awful. And it just, if anybody else who's watching this has anaphylaxis, you will know, like, it is so easy to think, like, that could have been me. That could have been any one of us who had to suffer harm because of somebody else's negligence. So, yeah, I'm sorry this isn't as upbeat as my usual kind of live streams, and I'm sorry again that I'm not coming to you and saying, okay, but here's a way forward. But I do think it is important sometimes to just kind of sit down and kind of acknowledge that there isn't always a solution, and there isn't a solution now, but hopefully there will be in the future. So I'm kind of going into 2019 hoping that this is kind of the year for the allergic people. And we'll just have to see, won't we? And given that I've said all that, and it's kind of not like I said, the most uplifting thing ever. I have actually just put a new post on my blog that's a bit more lighthearted and a bit more in jest, and it's called "The 5 Stages of Having a Food Allergy at Christmas Time." And I'm not going to read it to you, but I do quite like it actually. It features a very, very awesome image of an elf holding EpiPens. And we have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So it would be really interesting to see if that resonated with anyone. So if you want to read that, that's live on my blog now, and my blog's www.lifeofpippa.co.uk. And as always, if you want to find me, I'm LifeOfPippa on social media. Who is here? Oh, this is great. So thanks. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that. Thank you for listening. Yeah, so I'm LifeOfPippa on social media, and this is my 3rd of 4 festive live streams. So if you want to come to the final one, I'm actually really excited for it. So for my final live stream, which will be on Tuesday, I believe it's Tuesday the 18th at 2 p.m. GMT, we are going to be doing some festive problem solving. So people have been messaging me questions on Instagram all week, kind of telling me their worries and their concerns about Christmas time, and I plan to kind of sit down and have a chat about them, and we can try and problem solve them together. So if you would be interested in that, I'm still taking questions, so feel free to drop me a message on Instagram or anywhere else, and I will look forward to hearing from you. I think that's all I want to say today, to be honest. If anyone does watch this back and they have anything that they'd like to share about their own experiences, be that food allergies or anything else, I'm always here to listen. And if you do watch this, then thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a lovely day. See you later.